In this Sicha of Parashas Ki Tezeh, 57-51, the Rebbe MHM Shlita is pointing out over here at first an apparent contradiction that on the very same Shabbos that we always read Parashas Ki Tezeh, at Mincha, of course, we read the beginning of the next Parsha, as we do every Shabbos. And in this case, though, it seems to be a contradiction. That on the very same Shabbos, we read Tezeh, we read Tavoy, and they seem to be opposites. Tezeh means go out, Tavoy means come in. Not only in the matter of the translation of the word, but actually the content. Parshas Ki Tezeh represents the idea of the Jew going out to wage war against the Yetzer Hara, to go out into the world, as the pasuk describes, Ki Tezeh la milchama al oivecha, when you're going out to war against your enemy. And this is explained that it's referring to the avodah, the service of fighting against the Yetzer Hara. Parshas Ki Tezeh is speaking about coming into the land of Eretz Yisrael. That means it's the time of the future when we get rewarded for our avodah throughout all the years of Golus especially. So they seem to contradict each other. Is the theme going out to war and serving Hashem in Golus? Or is the theme the redemption and coming into Eretz Yisrael and getting rewarded? Likewise, on this Shabbos, we read 2 chapters in Pirkei Avos, being that at the end of the year, in the summer months, we have to bunch up some of the chapters in order to conclude the next cycle of Pirkei Avos. So this Shabbos, we read Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of Pirkei Avos. We learn both chapters, and they also seem to contradict each other. For in Chapter 1, it starts off saying, Moshe kibel Torah, that Moshe received the Torah from Hashem at Sinai, and it says you should have many students. So it's speaking about the beginning of the whole story of Matan Torah and how we have to have disciples. The second chapter deals with the reward by the redemption, as it says in the Mishnah, and you should know that the reward for tzaddikim is in the future to come. So how do these two coincide and go together? Now, in order to understand this, the Rebbe MHM Shlita focuses on the very Rashi in the beginning of the parsha. Rashi points out that this is a milchemes hareshus. This is an optional war, as opposed to a milchemes mitzvah, where we need to go out to war to conquer the land of the 7 nations. This is not talking about such a war. This mitzvah in the beginning of Parshas Ki Tezeh is talking about a war which is milchemes hareshus. So the question is, how could there be milchemes hareshus if we're explaining this in avodas ha'adam, in serving Hashem, in going out to war against the Yetzer Hara? A person is obligated to fight this war. For that matter, we also don't really understand now what's the reward that Hashem has in store for us. Why do tzaddikim get rewarded for serving Hashem if in fact this is an obligation that we have to do, and it isn't just a good deed or a nice thing that we're doing, but actually we must do it? So where is the room to have reward and to get paid for it if we're obligated to do this? So how is it called milchemes hareshus? So basically, to explain all of this, in the Sicha, the Rebbe MHM Shlita brings out the dichotomy that there is within the Jew. Who in fact is the Jew? What is the neshama? And where does he come to? So in fact, we should know that on the one hand, the neshama is the highest and the greatest, and it is actually one with Hashem himself. And Hashem is the creator. He's taking part of himself and he's placing it into a physical body in this physical world, and that is in fact the Jew. A neshama in a physical body in this physical world. And for that very reason, that this is what the Jew is, no Jew is able to become separated from Hashem. And he always is one and united with his Creator. And therefore, when the neshama comes into the world, that war that the neshama has is successful because Ki Tezeh, it goes out from being one with Hashem, it's leaving that state of being absolutely one with Hashem, the highest form, and it goes out to descend into this lowly physical world. However, it will truly succeed, and it will be Ki Tezeh, and will be able to come into the land. and conquer and succeed. And this is the whole point of the neshama's descent into this world, to transform this physical world and make it a dira for Hashem, make it a dwelling place for the essence of Hashem. And in order to do that, in order to successfully make this physical world, specifically this physical world, a dwelling place, as it were, for Hashem himself, can only be done through a neshama in this physical world, because the neshama carries both elements. On the one hand, the neshama is a chelik elekami mal mamish, it's one with Hashem. And on the other hand, it comes down into this physical world. And every Jew has the ability to accomplish this and to do this. And actually, it could be one single act, or a thought, or just saying something that can do it. As the Rambam, the famous Rambam, rules that every individual is to view himself as being equal, that the scales are perfectly equal of good and of the opposite of good, and you're able to tip the scales and bring salvation to the entire world, to bring about the redemption through Moshiach Tzidkenu. So in order for the neshama to succeed, the individual, the yid, has to remember who he is and where he comes from and what his job is. And therefore, even at the very beginning of the Avodah, when we say Kiseitze, you're just going out to start this tremendous mission, we on that very same day, on that very same Shabbos, we read Kisavoy, that you should know what the goal is and what the purpose is and what you're able to accomplish. And therefore, when the neshama, which is a chelik elkami mal mamish, comes into this physical world, it is able to accomplish what it has to accomplish, and there are no worries and there is no need to be concerned. This also actually is the theme of Chodesh Elul as well. Chodesh Elul is when we're taking a reckoning for the past year, and whatever had to be accomplished in serving Hashem, and whatever was not perfected, this is the time to perfect it and to complete it, and likewise it's a preparation for the upcoming year. And this is expressed with the acronym of Ani lo doidi v'doidi li. I, the Yid, am to my beloved Hashem, and my beloved is to me. So that itself is the greatest reward, the service of being able to serve Hashem. And that's why it's not a matter of doing avodah, serving Hashem, and then getting rewarded, getting payment. But as it says, schar mitzvah mitzvah, the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya that it's the mitzvah itself which is the reward. The very fact that we are serving Hashem and making this a dira for Hashem, a dwelling for Hashem, that's the reward. So that's why it goes together. It isn't two separate things, that now is the time to do work, and later is the time to get rewarded. But it all goes hand in hand and it goes together. And at the end of the Sicha, the Rebbe MHM Shlita connects all of this to the particular dates. The date of this Sicha is the 14th of Elul, and from then begin the preparations for 30 days prior to the Yom Tiv. So it's 30 days prior to Sukkot. So we begin studying the halachas of Sukkot, so it's all connected with the idea of the Simcha of Sukkot. And we also have the dates of the marriage. Erev Shabbos was the wedding anniversary of the Rebbe Rayatz. And following that, of course, in connection with his marriage, was the establishment of the Yeshivas Temchei Tmimim, and the students of Yeshivas Temchei Tmimim Lubavitch are called Chayolei Beis David, the soldiers of the household of David, and they accomplish and they are victorious in this war. And as it says, there are those that scoff the footsteps of Moshiach, and the war is over, and Baruch Hashem L'olam Amin V'Amin, as the kapitel in Tilim concludes. Then the Rebbe MHM Shlita says, towards the very end of the Sicha, that in this particular time, which is being described in this kapitel, which is where we're at right now, so we've already concluded the Avodah. And he actually says the directive at the end of the Sicha. We have a number of directives at the end, 3 points. Hamaysehu ha'ikar. Number 1, to publicize everywhere that we currently now, as we find ourselves in the end of the year of 57-51, we currently find ourselves at the end and the conclusion of Ma'aseinu v'Avodaseinu, of our service to Hashem in the time of Galus. And we are in the beginning of the era of the reward of the payment. Matan Scharon Shal Tzadikim, Kisava Yalar, it's coming to the land. And therefore, our avodah now, not in the very immediate future, not in the next moment, but our current avodah now already needs to be in those matters which are associated with the days of Moshiach. Beginning with studying the teachings in Torah of the matters of Moshiach and Geula and the Beis HaMikdash. And not only to study them, but it has to be in a mood and in a spirit of tranquility and of settlement, of joy, of gladness of heart. And this includes to make farbrengens, make Hasidic gatherings of Simcha, and especially in association with marriages, with weddings, and the Sheva Brachas. And then the Rebbe MHM Shlita also stresses to reinstitute the minhag, the custom that there is amongst the Jews, to make what's called a Sudas Aniyim, a special festive meal for the poor in connection with weddings. So to have a special meal for the poor people, and all of this is being done with tremendous simcha, is a preparation for Oz Yimalis Chayk Pinu, that then our mouths will be filled with laughter. The Gemara says that it is forbidden for a person to fill his mouth with laughter nowadays when we are still in Galus, and it brings a proof from the verse in Tehillim where it says, Oz, then in the future our mouths will be filled with simcha. But so long as we still are in Galus, we're not allowed to fill our mouths with simcha. You can't have full laughter. Says the Rebbe MHM Shlita that at this point that is no longer a hindrance, and this restriction of halacha from the Gemara no longer applies, because the word is Oz then, and then is begematria, the word Oz is begematria 8, and the 8th Nasi from the Baal Shem Tov is the Rebbe Rayatz, and he was revealed in his full glory. Number 2, to publicize everywhere with regard to the special shlichus, the special mission of Teimchei Tmimim, which is Neiros Laha'ir. The term used for the students of Teimchei Tmimim is that they should be candles, they should be lights to illuminate. And that is special directive that in addition to the yeshivas of Teimchei Tmimim and all of their branches, every single Jewish home should become and needs to be a home of Torah, Tefillah, and Gemilus Chasadim. So that the Rebbe MHM Shlita spoke about on a number of occasions, to transform each home into a miniature mikdash and make it a place where Torah is studied daily, where prayers are said, and where tzedakah and charitable acts are done. In addition to that, it has to be in a way of yeshivas Teimchei Tmimim, and therefore every home should become a miniature Teimchei Tmimim yeshiva, and that is through the study of Chasidus, in addition to the study of Torah in general. And number 3, to publicize everywhere with regards to supplying the needs for the upcoming Yomim Tovim, especially Sukkot, which were 30 days prior to Sukkot, so that everybody can celebrate it with a proper simcha, and no one should be lacking anything of their needs, and also even before Sukkot, to give everyone all their needs that they have for Rosh Hashanah, as the Pasuk says. That's basically the theme of this Sicha.